This is an impromptu video because, well, I just found out James Franklin has been named the head coach at Virginia Tech. That's right. The Hokies hires back-to-back coaches from Penn State. Brent Pry was the defensive coordinator at Penn State, and now James Franklin, fresh off of his long tenure with the Nittany Lions, is now headed to Blacksburg to lead Virginia Tech. And I mean, they're hoping that he will do in Blacksburg what he did at Vanderbilt. That's one of the toughest jobs in the country, is coaching the Commodores. We know what he did, and we know how difficult and why it's so difficult there because of the academic standards. But at the end of the day, he did very well at Vanderbilt. He took over Penn State. And a lot of people will say this when they're talking about James Franklin. He took over after the whole Joe Paterno thing. Not technically. I believe Bill O'Brien had 3 years. Bill O'Brien took the forced trauma, the a lot of that craziness that went on in Penn State. Bill O'Brien took over, and then James Franklin came in. And look, here's the deal. We know that James Franklin has struggled in the big game, but overall, James Franklin has won a lot of big games, and I think this is a pretty solid hire for Virginia Tech. So I think that I think that Virginia Tech had to step back and ask themselves, do we want someone who has rebuilt a program while also taking someone who's been in the game for an extremely long time? And so James Franklin, you can say what you want to about his record against the top 10 teams. And I'm going to tell you this, that is a concern. Virginia Tech, right now, they can't win ball games. Virginia Tech, they can't win games that they should win. And I remember Virginia Tech back in the day when they had Vic, even on up into the, pre-2010 seasons when they had Tyrod Taylor during that time frame. They were respectable. And I know Justin Fuente had a one good season where he got to the ACC championship or something like that. But here's the deal. Virginia Tech has not played good football consistently for an extremely long time. And bringing in James Franklin into Blacksburg says to their fan base, hey, listen, we wanted to get someone who knows what they're doing. We wanted to get someone who's coached a lot. We want to get someone who's rebuilt a program. He did, and I say rebuilt. There was nothing to build at Vanderbilt, really. I know Bobby Johnson had some, decent seasons for Vanderbilt. But really, James Franklin did an incredible job there. He did a really, really good job there. And so with his experience, if you go back through the years, he's been with Maryland a couple of times. He spent some time with the Green Bay Packers. That was 1 year as a wide receivers coach back in 2005. He was the OC at Kansas State, OC quarterbacks coach at Maryland, at Vanderbilt, 2011 to 2013. And then he was at Penn State from 2014 to 2025, and now he has been named the head coach at Virginia Tech. So I'm telling you this. I think that this is a really good get for Virginia Tech. I think that they probably just hired above their pay grade, what they normally could get. I think that there's going to be schools, and I'll say this, and then I have to go. But there are schools out there right now who fired their coach, who probably, if they could go back in the future, they would have kept their coach. There's some schools out there right now that if they could have kept their coach, if they knew that all these job openings were going to come open, and the guy that maybe they thought they could get is no longer available because a better job came open, I think that's happening. But for Virginia Tech, I think they won here. I think Virginia Tech won big time, getting James Franklin. And I think that he can bring them to that place where they're coming in, they're winning 8, 9, 10 ball games a year, and they're back competitive. I mean, and here's the thing about Franklin. He's 53. So, he's not old, and he's not a spring chicken. Right now, Virginia Tech needs someone just like him who can come in and coach, who can come in and lead the team, who knows what they're doing, but they're still young enough, and they're still acclimated to this style of football. Everything that's going on, all the changes that's went on in the game. James Franklin knows how to navigate it. That's what I'm trying to say. He knows how to navigate it. He's not too young. He's not too old. Congrats to Virginia Tech. I mean, it looks like you went out and you got a really solid hire. And I'm going to tell you this. I think they could take a major leap, but for a few reasons. They are Virginia Tech. They do have some good things that's going on. It's a beautiful area. Everyone I talk to, I've never been there. I've heard from several people say, oh, it's a beautiful area. So that's working in their favor. Next, they do have history. Now, it's been a long time ago, but they do have history that they can offer people. They can have the fan base get rabid and all excited for it. Next up, they're getting a guy who knows what he's doing. He understands the current game, and I think he has a relevant approach to it. And then next up, I'm going to say the part that a lot of people, they probably don't want to talk about, and that is that the ACC is not good. The ACC is not amazing. This is not like going into the Big Ten and contending. This is not like going into the SEC and contending. The ACC is not terrible, but it's not good. And so, with that said, I would not be shocked within the next few years to see James Franklin come in and take this team to an 8, 9, maybe 10 win season. And all of a sudden, they're in the conversation for the conference. They're going to Charlotte potentially in the next few years, playing for a conference championship, maybe winning it. And that would put them in the college football playoff. I'm not going too far there. All I'm going to say is I think they made a really good hire, and now they're ACC conference championship contenders in the next few years. Folks, tell me what you think is going to happen.